So for me, Jordan, I'm just gonna give you that heads up right now. This is definitely gonna be a YouTube video. This next section, because I got a lot to say, Jordan. I got a lot to say, because for my second pick, I watched them all, Jordan. I did it. I did the challenge. I did the Michael Bay Transformer movie challenge.
Give me your faith.
It's a new challenge, Jordan. It's a new challenge.
You psychopath.
It's Jordan. It's a new challenge. It's a new
you
YouTube TikTok challenge.
You masochistic, insane psychopath.
Jordan,
Please continue.
I did the Michael Bay. Jordan, it's a new challenge I'm calling the Michael Bay Transformers Challenge, where you watch all the Michael Bay Transformers movies in like a short period of time over the span of 2 days. Because, and I made a TikTok video about this earlier, Jordan, but if you have any love, reverence, or nostalgia in any way for those movies, I encourage you to sit down and watch all 5 of them in a row, because that will thoroughly stomp out any love you have remaining for this franchise. Because even the first one, which and it's funny because we talk about how like it depends on when in your life you watch a movie. Like, we first watched the first Transformers movie, the first Michael Bay one. I was 17 and you were 16, right? Like, very different mindset and space in life. Where, like,
I remember really liking that first one.
But like, watch it now as a 30-year-old adult. It's awful. It's like it's not that it's like it's the worst one, but like, I'm okay. I'm not gonna go through each of these and summarize them because we'd be here all day. Jordan's already seen these movies, so I don't need to do that. And if you're watching this or listening to this, chances are you've seen them. If you haven't, they're on Paramount Plus. Have fun. I just described this as not being fun, but have fun. Have fun. Because what an awful experience, man. Like, watching them back to back. It's funny because my favorite, okay, I've got so many thoughts. We're gonna jump around a bunch here. There's no avoiding it. But my favorite podcast, The Weekly Planet. Shout out to The Weekly Planet. One of the hosts on that podcast, Nick Mason, coined a term he called golden bait.
We should have a term for the viewers, which I'm going to call golden bay time, which is the point at the movie where you would think that we're headed into like the third act and things are wrapping up. They're gonna come to a head and finish off in a big blazing finale.
Storylines are colliding, right?
Exactly. And it's then you check the time code and realize that the movie isn't nearly done, it's only just getting started.
Yeah.
And for me, I was watching this movie and I'm like,
which he referred to as the moment where it feels like everything is wrapping up and you think that the movie is about to end, and then it just goes on for another 45 minutes. And the first time I heard him describe this phenomenon, I was like, that can't be a real thing. That can't be a real thing. And then I'm watching these movies, and like, to jump ahead, the fourth one, no, I think it might have been the third one. I felt like it was over. Like, it felt like, oh, this is the end. And then I opened it up, and there was somehow still an hour and 10 minutes left. There was still an entirely separate movie that had to happen still. It was incredible. And it was like, they did a series of videos called Caravan of Garbage, where they did what I did. They watched all of the movies. They did it over the course of 5 weeks. I did it over the course of 2 days. But by the end of it, they were just, like, exhausted. Like, they were...
Like I said, you're a psychopath.
I feel like I've aged like 10 years in like a week for having done this to myself.
Only 10? Wow, that's
like,
impressive.
And what's incredible about them is like they're not devoid of good ideas. It's just they don't know when to stop. Because like they don't know when to stop to the point of them not making any sense, right? Because I'm just gonna do this for the first one, because if I do them for all of them, I'll go insane and we'll be here all day. But just for the first one, the big central plot point of it is that the Allspark crashed into the Arctic, right? And Megatron went looking for the Allspark. He flew off of Cybertron and went looking for the Allspark. Stop me at any point if I'm wrong, if I'm missing any details. He crash
It's
lands.
been years since I've seen it. I'm gonna take you at your
He
word.
crash lands into the Arctic, looking for the Allspark, just like a couple of feet away from the Allspark. Right, freezes. Sam's grandpa finds him, and the location of it gets like imprinted onto his glasses. The information then the government finds Megatron, whom they dub MBE-1, and they transport him from the Arctic to a random military base, him along with the gigantic Allspark, to a base in America, all while managing...
Isn't it inside the Hoover Dam?
Right. So they managed to move both Megatron, and he says that it was constructed around them. So, sorry, I just got a beep. Oh, sorry. Anyway, distracting message. Anyway, yeah, they say that they constructed the Hoover Dam around. So they somehow have managed to move Megatron while keeping him frozen and the cube to where Hoover Dam is, and constructed the dam around him. And they've managed to keep him frozen for, like, they say 50 years, where he hasn't tried to escape. The Decepticons haven't attempted to locate him, and they haven't managed to break free. From which they have managed to reverse engineer from him all of modern day technology, microchips, whatever, which is clearly a reference to Area 51 in Roswell, right? But that doesn't make any sense, because why hasn't Megatron? Because at the end, they take the cube, and then Megatron just kind of breaks free. Like, it's never indicated that it's as a result of the cube moving. And even if it was, why would them moving the cube and him make him wake up if it was just about moving the cube?
Wasn't it? Now, correct me if I'm wrong, because it's been literally years since I've seen this movie, because I refuse to do that to myself. But isn't it that I think it was Bumblebee? He touches it, and that's what makes it shrink.
Right.
And then doesn't that like send out like a pulse?
No, it just shrinks, and then he takes the cube, and then all of a sudden it's indicated that the Decepticons are on their way. It's never explained. At least from what I saw. To be fair, it failed the phone test, so I might have missed it. But I've seen this movie enough that I feel confident to be like, no, they never connected.
I seem to remember it being that, yeah, when he first touches the cube and causes it to shrink, it sends out the pulse, and that's what.
Okay, but fine.
That's what causes Megatron to wake up.
But they managed to keep him frozen. They managed to keep Megatron, a 50-foot tall robot, frozen to transport him from the Arctic to Hoover Dam. Like, what I'm saying is it's too many things. Just make it so the cube crashed where Hoover Dam was. They constructed a Hoover Dam around it, and then have it so all technology is reverse engineered from the cube, and then make it so that the Decepticons finally located the cube, and the whole movie is you're just waiting for Megatron to show up. He's just waiting to get there, and then he shows up at the end because they've located the cube. Like, having both him and the cube together is not necessary. It's just extra shit.
I don't necessarily disagree. I remember it being like basically the idea that the cube is emitting a shit ton of radiation or energy or whatever.
But Megatron doesn't need to be there.
Let me finish. And that's where, like, when they drop the cube at one point and the vending machine comes to life, and all the machines in the area come to life.
Oh, that's
so
thing.
to me the idea is supposed to be basically that, like, it's once they condense it, it starts actually emitting the energy that it usually does, and that's headcanon. And that's what causes Megatron to wake up.
Sure, but what I'm saying is Megatron doesn't need to be there. Like, just get rid of Megatron and have it where the cube is still gigantic. It still crashes in Hoover Dam. It's all exactly the same. It's just Megatron's not there.
I understand. I'm simply addressing it as it is.
Like,
not. We're not going to spend 2 hours sitting here and go through these movies and all the ways that they could be fixed, because there's not enough time on the planet.
We're just doing the first one. I'm just pointing out shit in the first one. Other than a few things in the later ones, I want to point out. But the nitpicky shit, I just have to do with the first one, because the other thing that drives me crazy is that fucking cube. Because why is every Transformer it creates evil? Immediately evil. So, are the Autobots just an outlier then? Why are they good? And it's a thing that carries on into the next movie where there's a shard of the cube that brings a machine to life, and it's immediately evil. So wait, are they the Decepticons the default? The Autobots seem to indicate that they are in fact not the default, and they are psychopathic. So are the Autobots like not the default? Like so is it like you have to go through training and not? It just doesn't. I just have so many questions about the nature of Transformers' existence, which leads me to my next point, which is the next movie. I'm done with the individual nitpicks, other than to say apparently in the second one, Transformers are grown in sacks.
Even in death, there is no command but mine.
They're grown in sacks, Jordan.
I don't know. All I remember of the second one is that they ruined the Devastator.
Like part.
I am directly below. The enemy scrotum.
And as soon as they did that, every other grievance that I have with that movie drops away because they ruined my favorite Transformer.
It's not so much a grievance as it is wait. So the cube can create them, but like literally, there's a bit at the beginning where Starscream is growing Transformers in sacks, like gooey sacks. They burst out. It's like they need Enertron, otherwise they'll die. Oh, and those movies just forget. In the first one, don't. The thing about those movies is clearly Michael Bay doesn't know a thing about Transformers, because Starscream goes from being what he's like, not being what he's like in the comic or in the cartoon, to being what he's like in the cartoon. Also, the Decepticons randomly swap between Cybertronian and English randomly and interchangeably. It doesn't make any sense. These movies don't make any sense, Jordan. They don't make any sense. Also, an interesting thing that I noticed is how okay. I hated the third one significantly less this time. It still bothers me that Optimus is a psychopath who threatens to murder people on a dime. He says, "I'll kill you," or some variation thereof. Like, way too much. Just way too much. Like,
We will kill them all. I'll kill you! Or die.
Like there's a moment in the fourth one where he just kills Kelsey Grammer like he's nothing. He's just like bam, and he vaporizes him instantly. You're like, whoa. Where was I going with this? Oh, Cade Yeager, Mark Wahlberg's character, and Shia LaBeouf, Sam Witwicky, are so fascinating because they're total inverses of each other. Like, all Sam does is run away from shit and scream and whine. He doesn't really take any proactive action, and he doesn't really help the Transformers in any significant or really any sort of meaningful way. He just happens to own a pair of glasses that some guy has, right? He's not really included in any meaningful way. Whereas Cade Yeager, he's all action, baby. He's got his own space gun. He's fighting the Transformers in hand-to-hand combat, and so it's just so interesting to me how they're like completely opposite to each other. And obviously Cade Yeager is worse. Like, he's awful. He's an awful, awful, awful human being. Transformers. Where was I going with the Transformers? Oh, going to the worst one. The worst Transformers. The worst Transformers is the fourth one. I used to say it was the third one because, Optimus executes that guy at the end.
You betrayed yourself. No, Optimus!
Yeah, that got you very angry for many years.
Yeah, I definitely remember being pissed off about that, like, out the theater. I was like, Optimus would never execute a man.
And then, me and our friend were not nearly as upset about it, which just upset you more.
Yeah, which I don't get. Now it does.
Because going back and watching the animated movie, the 1980s one, Optimus very much would have executed Megatron point blank.
No, he would have beat him in a fair hand-to-hand combat.
He beat him in a fair hand-to-hand combat, got his gun while Megatron was pleading for his life, and was like like aiming his gun at him and is like, "Why shouldn't I kill you?"
Yeah, but
He would
doesn't though. He does. He questions
he
the
does
morality.
he doesn't only because Megatron fucking doesn't give him the chance.
No, see, no, see, he takes a moment to pause. Where if that were Michael Bay Optimus, he wouldn't have even hesitated. That's the difference in morality between actual Optimus and Michael Bay Optimus. Is he had to pause for morality.
One would argue that if he hadn't paused for the morality, he wouldn't have died.
I mean, maybe. I mean, sure, but that's not the point. The point is he has that morality. He has that sense of like, no, he wouldn't just point blank execute 2 people in the span of 2 minutes. Like,
I mean, I'm just saying maybe he should have.
Maybe he should have, yeah, but he wouldn't have. That's the point. It's out of character for him. It's like, yeah, he just, and also Optimus would scream, "I'll kill them," or "I'll kill you," nearly as much as he does in these movies.
It's not out of character for that Optimus.
I mean, yeah, that is true. He he executes, like, from the second movie, there's a point where he, like, rips off, like, Hook rips off a guy, like, a Decepticon's face.
He is gratuitously violent.
There is some gratuitous robot carnage in these movies. But the thing
violence.
The thing that frustrates me about the fourth one is that's another one where it's like too many ideas. Where it's like there's like one idea in here which is interesting, which is the idea that the humans have developed enough arrogance that they now believe that they no longer need the Transformers, and the bad guys are now humans. Like, I think that's a genuinely interesting idea where, like, yeah, they're humans who have created their own Transformers, and like get rid of like the space seed and get rid of Transformium, and just have it where it's like, yeah, there's a scientist and he's created Transformers, and he's trying to be like, these are human Transformers, we created them, we don't need them, have them fight Decepticons and beat Decepticons or whatever, and then have it at the end where in the final conflict is just the Decepticons are back, baby, and they're and they've come back to life, and Megatron is actually Galvatron or whatever, and do the twist at the end and have it where that's the big conflict. They fight, Transformers punch Transformers at the end. But to me, that idea of like human arrogance, like thinking that they can build their own Transformers only to find out that they can't, they just turn out to be Decepticons because you're using Decepticon metal, I don't think that's uninteresting. It's just in a movie that's 2 hours and 40 minutes long. That's the one where, yeah, literally, like they resolve this plot line, and you're like, oh, the movie's over. And you look at the runtime, and you're like, how? How is there an hour and 10 minutes left? It doesn't make any sense.
I also would have made it so that, because from what I remember, the robot in that one just looks evil from the onset.
Yes, he just looks like Megatron. Yes.
I would have gone the what is it? Transformers Armada was the one with the evil Optimus. The one that's like black. Yeah, the one that's black and gray, and he looks exactly like Optimus, but he's evil.
Yeah, I would have done that.
I would have done that. And then have it be where it hits a point where, yeah, the Decepticons show up, and that human Transformer isn't evil necessarily, but he's not an Autobot either, and he's sort of in between the two, and he helps whoever he wants to help.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's another thing. Like, that movie, the second one does kind of introduce the idea that the alien robots, like, that's Autobots or Decepticon. Like, you could interchange sides if you want to. Like, you could just be like, I don't want to be a Decepticon, I'm gonna go be an Autobot. You can just, it's not like hardwired into you. You can change sides which I believe is a plot point in one of the episodes of the animated series. I think there's a big jet guy who starts off as a Decepticon.
Yeah. There is. I remember his name, but yeah, and then he becomes an Autobot.
Yeah, I think it's Jetfire. I think it's the one from. I'm pretty sure it's the one from that.
That name sounds familiar.
I think it might be.
I'm inclined to believe you, but I'm too lazy to look it up.
And then finally, oh, the other thing, before I talk about the fifth movie, because Jordan, the fifth movie, that's the one where you're like, I feel like I just did a pound of blow, and like I've been out all night, like it's oh my god. Anyway,
a fugue state.
A thing these movies continue to add on to. It's the one thing they yes and on movie to movie. And it's the one thing they shouldn't, because it progressively makes less and less sense. But, like, they continue to be like, oh no, Transformers have actually been here earlier than you think. And it progressively makes less and less sense. So like the first one's like, yeah, the first time Transformers are around is when the guy finds Megatron. He's the first Transformer they find. You're like, okay, yeah, that makes sense, right? Yeah, okay. And then the second one's like, no. There's actually a bunch of Transformers who came here back in like ancient tribal times. They're the fallen. They're all the primes or whatever. Like, but like it's like they're like tribal people, so they didn't know that they were aliens or whatever, right? So that's
They
why
were pretty easy to fool.
yeah, right. So that's why we don't remember them. Okay, right. And then the third one's like, oh no. Actually, one of them crash landed on the moon, and we found it. Neil Armstrong found it, who is in this movie, by the way. Neil Armstrong found it, and the Decepticons, through a government conspiracy, which they control, and a human who over the course of multiple generations, have kept up this secret where they're hiding the fact that this Autobot spaceship is on the moon, all in order to build a space bridge. And so it's implied that there's a bunch of humans who have known since the 60s that the Transformers have been on Earth, which makes the government in the first movie look progressively more incompetent. It's like, wait, so if everyone on Earth knew that Transformers existed, except for you, apparently, American government? And so then the fourth one is like, oh, no. The Transformers actually came here like much, much earlier, around the time of the dinosaurs, and they dropped a seed which created the material that all the Transformers are made out of. And that happened. And then the fifth one, finally the fifth one.
You're hurting my brain.
The fifth one has been like, the Transformers have been around since medieval times, and Merlin is a real guy, and he had a magic staff, which was a Transformer, which he could use to control a Transformer dragon to win battles.
Did I watch that one?
We did watch that one.
That does not sound familiar.
We
to
did
me.
watch that one with our mutual friend. Our mutual friend insisted we watch it, and we drove out to Richmond to watch it in IMAX. And we were exhausted walking out of it.
I don't remember that at all, and that's probably a good thing. Continue.
I remember leaving during the climax of it to go to the bathroom, being like, "Oh, it must almost be over." During Golden Bay time, being like, "It must almost be over. I'm gonna miss the ending," and running back, and then it going on for another 45 minutes.
Like you're doing a rapid fire of 5 movies, and I feel like we've been talking about this forever.
Right?
I can only imagine what the movies felt like.
So that one makes the case that Transformers have been around since medieval times, and that they've been around working secretly with humans, and that Bumblebee, even though the movie indicates that that was the first time he'd been to Earth, the first one, he's been around since the 1940s, and he helped defeat the Nazis, which once again makes the government in the first movie look fucking incompetent. And so there's that movie makes the case that there's actually a secret society called the Witwickens, and that Sam was part of that secret society, which doesn't I guess the implication that his grandpa was in the secret society of people who all knew and protected the secret of Transformers, which A, doesn't make a lick of sense if you remember that character. B, so wait, was his dad in the secret society? Because his dad sure didn't seem to know anything about Transformers when he discovered about them. Was Sam? Is it a coincidence that their family name is named after this? Like, this movie does make so once again to call back to
I need you to stop. You're hurting my brain.
So it turns out that in that movie, Mark Wahlberg is like a knight. Like there's like 5 Transformers who all look like knights, and Mark Wahlberg is one of them. And there's a girl who she's the descendant of Merlin, and it's her destiny to use the staff to control the dragon, so that they can stop Quintessa, who is a reference to the Quintessons, who is the creator of the Transformers. I cannot believe you don't remember this.
No,
she wants to
I have no memory of this.
On the one hand, can believe okay, there's a really funny. I watched in preparation for this. I watched Lindsay Ellis's series, The Whole Plate, which is a film studies course utilizing Transformers. And one of the videos was called "Why Don't You Remember Anything from Transformers," which I'm going to send you later because you'll find it funny now. Because yeah, you don't. You've seen it and you don't remember it. It's kind of wild.
I have no memory of this.
And there's a little person-sized transformer who's a psychopath named Cogman.
It's like you're
head-
speaking Greek.
But anyway, so I'm sort of describing this, summarizing it, just so I could be like, so yeah, this woman is the descendant of Merlin. She has it's her destiny to use the staff to control this dragon transformer, and so that they could stop Quintessa from bringing Cybertron to Earth and having it absorb Earth's energy. Because spoiler alert, Earth is actually secretly Unicron.
What?
And,
No.
And
Stop it.
So Nick Mason from the Weekly Planet, he has a theory that this movie was originally like a version of the King Arthur, because and like all the knight transformers were just like magical knights, and Cogman, the person-sized transformer, who they say is a headmaster, but his theory is that he was just like a magical suit of armor. And it was like a fantasy, kind of modern fantasy story that involved Merlin, and they just slapped Transformer shit on top of it. Fucked whether or not it made sense or not. And it's super weird. There's like this really long opening sequence with this girl who's like basically Rey from Star Wars. Like she even has like a little BB-8 who just leaves the movie so the Merlin shit can happen. It's super fucking weird. But yeah, it's like as these movies go on, the more they attempt to be like Transformers have been here the whole time, the less they make sense. They here's what I will say about the first two. They at least feel like they're putting effort in. like it feels like they're trying, which by the fifth one I'm like, I can't. I hate myself. I hate Michael Bay, even though I'm sure he's probably a decent person. I hate every actor in this. Oh, the one thing we didn't mention, the one thing we didn't reference, Jordan. Yes, in context, that Romeo and Juliet thing is fucking weird.
We've got a pre-existing juvenile foundational relationship. Statute 2705-3.
What? Texas statute? That a real law?
Yep.
Romeo and Juliet.
You know how the guy has the laminated card saying how it's okay for him to have sex with Mark Wahlberg's daughter.
The thing that didn't need to exist shouldn't exist and is very dumb.
What makes it even worse is not only is that joke in there, but that joke is the payoff to like 3 other jokes where they mention the fact that she's 17. They go out of their way to mention it so to facilitate that specific joke, which is so fucking weird, Jordan. It's so weird. I think people have talked about how weird it is, but like I legit today I saw a video of somebody who thinks these movies are somebody who thinks that these movies are good, like legitimately, and I'm like,
I mean,
how can you say that?
wrong.
How can you say that when one of them has an extended sequence of a guy being like, it's okay for me to sleep with your underage daughter? That's weird. Like, it's so weird. Like,
Yeah.
Can we not
Yeah,
all
it
agree
is.
how weird that is?
Oh, it's weird.
It's
a choice
so
that
weird.
I've never once understood that choice. I still don't understand that choice. I will never understand that choice.
But here's where I will end this, and I have to end this, Jordan, because we have other shit to talk about. There are some great lines in there that are funny, like especially in the first one when Anthony Anderson, where he's like, "I ate the whole plate, the whole plate."
I ate the whole plate. The whole plate.
Or,
plate.
Or my first little favorite from the fourth one, where he cracks the Bud Light, like insurance. You think I got insurance? There's a spaceship. You think you got insurance? Honey, give me my space gun.
Freaking spaceship. Good luck with that, buddy. Is your car? Huh? Sweetie, hand me my alien gun.
Here you go.
It's funny. Like there's and it's not to say it's like there's cool shit. Like there's cool. It's one of those movies where it's like, yeah, when you like watch these scenes isolated on YouTube, like some of them are cool, like some of them are fun. Like yeah, the bit where Optimus like has 2 hooks and like tears a guy's face off is dope. Like it's way more concerned with like looking badass than it is with being faithful or respectful to its source material. It really is like he saw what the premise was, which was bad robot versus good robot. He saw vaguely what the names were and kind of what some of them looked like, and that was maybe it. that was pretty much it. And then they just kind of gave him names because names are meaningless. Because yeah, you pointed out Devastator in his robot testicles, but also there's parts of Devastator. I can't remember one of the Constructicons who makes up Devastator. His name is attributed to an incorrect Transformer in the first one. I think it's Bone Crusher.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, Bone Crusher, the one that in the first one Optimus tackles on the freeway.
Oh
That
yeah.
scene's sick. Like I say, there are some sick shots of like that just look cool. Like there's that one in the second one that at one point was like the biggest on-screen explosion of all time in the desert, where it just the shit looks fucking cool. Like there and I will say it's funny. So I said I was gonna wrap up, but I remember one more point I wanted to make, which was that a lot of people give those movies shit for its over love of the army, but I will say that the most interesting parts of those movies are watching the army tactically, for me anyway, this time around, was watching the army guys tactically interact with the Transformers. Where it's like in the first one, you see how they tactically operate as a unit just without Transformers. And there's that bit where they're being chased around the desert by Scorponok. Where it's like, I'd watch an entire movie where it's just army guys, like it's Predator, but with the Transformer. And it's a bunch of army guys being hunted in the desert by a Decepticon. Like, that would be kind of fun. That'd be a fun movie just by itself. But later on, when all the army guys and the Autobots team up and they now have Nest, the team, like you getting to see them tactically work in like Ironhide and Ratchet and those guys and seeing them integrate them with the team was kind of interesting. And I'm like, yeah, I would watch a movie where it's just the army guys and the Autobots and you cut out Sam because Sam is quite often the least interesting part of those movies. Like it's just I would watch that. That would actually be interesting to me. But overall, to wrap up, finally, just exhausting. I feel tired. I feel like I aged. I feel like I'm older and angrier as a result of having watched those awful movies. And I hate myself.
And wiser?
No, dumber. Much dumber. Significantly stupider. Like I've taken a hammer and bashed I'm upset with myself, but by movie 3 I commit for the bit. You know?
So you're not mad, you're just disappointed.
I'm disappointed with myself, but I'm happy because we're going to talk about next week's topic later, but I'm excited for it. Anyway, that was Transformers. That was the Bayformers. That is most definitely going to be a YouTube video.